Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Podcast, where the DR stands for Driving Results. Our focus is weekly conversations around life and business relationships and the important leadership qualities for both. These concepts and qualities will help you drive positive results in both your business and personal lives. A weekly connection point to help business leaders develop individual contributors, managers, and executives on your teams. We also will tie in concepts around family focus and life lessons to help you drive success in your personal life. Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show. Let's get after it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Dr. Leadership Podcast. Hope you're having an awesome week. I did. It was a re-entry week for me after a solid week of vacation, which was absolutely incredible. I'll get to that in a few minutes, but hope your week has gone well. Hope the summer is proceeding as you see. Kids go back to school in just a week or two, depending on where you are in the country. You blink and it's over. It's just the older you get, the faster it goes. But hope things are going great. Hey, remember you can check us out at the website, www.drleadershipresults.com. That's where you can check out the subscription site. You can check out the background. You can send us emails with questions, ideas for content, feedback, both positive and constructive. All is accepted. And we can also be reached at our email, which is drleadershipresults@gmail.com. Hey, the last couple weeks touched on a couple of great things. First of all, episode 45 was out there a couple weeks ago now, and that was Steve Jobs. Some feedback from some interviews from Steve Jobs several years ago, and kind of his 5 steps towards success. And really good content there. Guy was uber successful, had some weak spots. Everybody has freckles, but I think those steps were good ones. And, that's why I covered the content. And then last week was, is your work life and at home life fulfilling? And that's a key attribute as well, right? We need to go through this life feeling good. We need to go through this life with optimism, with sunny skies, not cloudy days. And all of these things that I try to bring to you are hopefully leading you to better endeavors on your own. This week, it's an important one to me. And now remember, I'm always recording these a few weeks in advance, and you can get that early content at the website by subscribing to our member site. But this week, I want to talk about recognition and the power of inspiration, just the power of recognition overall. Now, this one's really important to me because as I started this episode with, just came off of re-entry of a week of vacation. And my week of vacation was this: the annual sales net recognition trip for my employer. The annual Circle of Excellence trip is what we call it. And we were in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. And when I say flippin' awesome, I mean flippin' awesome. It was an unbelievable, one word, phenomenal. Why phenomenal? Well, first of all, we stayed at the JW Marriott in Guanacaste. This place, just friggin' awesome. Right on the beach, beautiful beach. When the tide goes out, lava and stones and things, just absolutely beautiful. Sand's awesome. In Costa Rica, there's like 144 volcanoes there. Only 7 are active. Not many real close to here. But there's black sand beaches, kind of brown sand beaches, and then some lighter sand beaches. We were in a lighter sand beach area. The resort, the sunset blessed this resort every night. I mean, when I say powerful sunsets, unbelievable. Weather was perfect. That's phenomenal. Now, I will tell you this. It is hot there because the sun, you're at the equator. You're like 9 degrees above the equator. So the sun sits about 1.5 feet above your head at noon. So bring the sunscreen, exercise, good hydration, stay in the shade some, etc. But just perfect weather. My wife and I actually went down there thinking about, at the JW Marriott, it's an area called Hacienda Pinilla, and there's 1,700 acres there. We saw monkeys, crocodiles, not at the resort area. We did an up-the-river trip. Crocodiles and monkeys and huge iguanas and beautiful birds and just man, it's just blessed by God. There's no doubt about the country. The company, the other thing why it was phenomenal is my company did it right. I just big thank you to those that are listening that were part of the planning, the execution. The people just did it awesome. Man, rooms were great. I had a great room, looked right at the sunset and the beach every evening. Just, God, it was just awesome. The local people, I will say this about the local people. I'm recognizing them on today's theme. Nicest people, most loving people. My wife and I have been very blessed to travel all over the world. These people, top notch, not even close. Pura Vida. They live this pure life type approach. Costa Rica doesn't even have a military. That's how nice these people are. They aren't even concerned with it. They have been the most pleasant people, were the most pleasant people ever interacted with. A smile, beautiful people too. Beautiful complexion. Just awesome people. And finally, the reason it was phenomenal, the joy of being around the winners. So I was blessed to host my line of business winners. I run a division inside the organization. We had 17 out of about 170 sellers that could win. So top 10%, right? Not an easy task. 105 winners total, about 1,000 sellers. So again, 10%, and their significant others. 210 awesome people, phenomenal people. It was just, you could see the fire. Recognition is so important. That's what this episode's really going to get to here in a minute. Just kind of setting it up, right? Got to set the story up, get the big finish. But the people had a fire in them. First of all, everyone kind, a little more mature group. I don't mean like, not picking your nose in church, but just have been around for a while. And no rambunctiousness, nothing really out of control. The last night at the big awards banquet, there was a couple tables that were really whooping it up a little bit. But that's because the recognition, their spouses and their significant others were getting stood up and recognized in front of 204 other people, man. It's freaking awesome. Awesome. But you could see the fire. And that's what I want to talk about today is how recognition inspires. Recognition doesn't expire. Bad Freudian slip. I want to tell you a story about one of my winners. So he was the top, we'll call him Matt. He was the top producer in my line of business last year. 305% of his achievement plan. Big boy and girl numbers, okay? Big winner. Guy is driven. Former Division I athlete. Guy's been successful his whole life. Got a little knucklehead streak in him too, like I do, right? Just, we're all kind of knuckleheads, banging our head against the wall, going too hard sometimes. Got to slow down and understand you can achieve things different ways than running right through the wall. But he was the top guy in my line of business. As we were going through the presentation, and we were second. So our dealer division went first, then my group went second, recognized our 17 winners, recognized the spouses. Very important. If you are a leader and you're recognizing people at an event and significant others are there, make sure you know the spouses' names. Recognize them as well. They are holding the fort down and motivating at home. They are either a good teammate for you or they are somebody that is not cheering for the company at home, and you'll lose people. You got to make sure you recognize those significant others because it's not easy being around high-level salespeople at home. But this guy, Matt, 305% of plan. I went second. First group didn't have anybody that was even close to that percent of plan. But as we went through the day, there were a couple other people that had a higher percent of plan than him. And one person just had an unbelievably big hit on a quota that isn't set for something this big to kind of come across. And that person was 504% of plan. Awesome job by that person. Not diminishing that at all. But here I'm talking about the fire and what recognition does for people. Matt came up to me as I was saying goodnight, and he was fired up. Every time a percent came up, the other two above him, he looked at me and just shook his head, and you can just see, man, his lip was getting tight. He was no bueno. He was not happy because He wanted to be the top dog. So as I shook his hand and thanked him once again for an unbelievable year, thanked his wonderful wife, Jen, awesome people, he turned to me and says, I have one thing to say to you. And I said, what's that? And he goes, 505. And I said, 505, what's that? He goes, that's the percent of plan I'm going to be next year, because that's what it takes to be number one, evidently. Wow. Those are the people I want on my team. Those are the people you want on your team. He was not happy with being number one of his line of business. His goal is number one overall. He wants to stand at the top of the mountain, not on one of the top of the mountains in the range. He wants to stand on Everest and look at everybody and go, come on, try to get me. That is what recognition does. It fired him up, fired me up. I'm telling the story, sharing it with you. This is the type of thing that recognition does for you. Recognition leads to engaged employees. That's the net. It doesn't just mean trips. It doesn't, but words such as something that I've started to try practice. And again, I tell everyone on this show, I don't have this all figured out. I'm not standing going, look at me. I'm standing sharing things that I too need to embrace. But one thing I've been finishing every one of my conversations with, and I mean it, is I appreciate you. Words such as appreciation, respect, inspiration, care, even love. I love the people I work with. I mean, there's different types of love in the world, right? But I mean, I care for these people deeply. I care for their challenges. I care for their troubles at home. I care for illnesses. I care for the loss of loved ones in their life. I care when a parent of theirs is struggling or has passed away. That's what I want in my environment. That's what I want my culture to be. Words like this, and when you act them and live them with your people, recognizing great work, these lead to enhanced performance, a better culture, and greater outcomes. Now, I want you to do it because it's sincere and it's from your heart. Get to be that person. Lean into caring. It'll make your heart feel so much better yourself, promise you. Instead of being numbers focused, which as leaders, we have to be outcome focused as well. But how you get the outcome is by using these steps. Morale doesn't improve because the beatings continue. Morale improves because they want to be here. Morale improves because they want to go over the hill for us. Morale improves because they want to be on Everest, not just on top of one of the mountains in the range. Culture, development of good culture creates greater outcomes. And this is at work and at home. I'm going to talk about at home at the end of this thing, but I'm really focusing on work here for a little bit. I'll talk about home shortly. This is good stuff for kids, spouses, etc. So I was doing some digging around on this thing. I'm flying back. I'm down there, and I'm looking at everybody just smiling, man. Cocktails are flying. People are patting each other on the back. The story's being told. Little bragging this and that. I'm going to do better than you. Just freaking awesome. But I'm thinking about this thing, so I did a little bit of due diligence, right? And there's a website called Quantum Workplace, which says this. There's 3 key things about work recognition, and I bought in on all 3 of these. That's why I'm sharing it. I don't care if you don't like it. I like it, so it's my show. First thing they say is showcase good achievement. Showcase goal achievement. Not good achievement, of course, but showcase goal achievement. A simple thank you, right? People want to be noticed. When a goal is achieved, the word achievement and the feeling of achievement gets the mind a big rush. And when it is recognized by others, that rush gets amplified. It's dopamine, man. It's mojo. It's adrenaline. It's all these things that drive greater outcomes than you just recognized. Now, men, we're simple characters. Very simple characters. My wife would agree with me on this one. All we want in life is recognition for simple things. A thanks or awesome job, honey. I appreciate you doing that. Those types of things from our loved ones, at least for me, That's what makes me feel good. I had to go down and fix a shower head issue for my daughter this week. She was so appreciative and so thank you. I had her drop her keys off on the way to work. I had to run down over lunch, swapped out the shower heads. She had the right tools. Bless her, she tried. We even FaceTime. Just couldn't talk her through the threading tape and getting the old one off with the right tool. And so I went down and played Superman and fixed it. But man, I thank you, and just Dad, I really appreciate you. I feel warm and fuzzy all the way home, right? I'm going to tell you another story. This is a true thing. So I'm full of OCD. If you all haven't figured this out yet, I have obsessive compulsive disorder about a number of things. And a good-looking yard is one of them. And I pride myself on my yard work. I love my yard work because it gets to turn my mental switch off. But we are in a subdivision that is in the middle of being built. Let's say there's 60 homes of 120 homes that have been built. So there's some messes. Now, when you live and when you first come in the subdivision, you can go immediate left or an immediate right, and those houses' backyards back to a hill that has some beautiful trees on it, a little slope down to a big walk path, and then on the other side of the walk path, a little bit of grass, and then the main feeder street. That area has different levels of attention from different homeowners. And I walk about 4 or 5 miles every day. And when I go on my walks, I go out of the subdivision and I go left or right, and I walk down this big walkway and I see this. Now, these aren't inexpensive homes. I pride myself. I've worked really damn hard. My wife has worked really damn hard, and we built a really nice house because we're going to spend the next 25, 30 years in it, right? That's what we did. And we want to entertain our children. We want to hold Thanksgiving here. We want to hold Christmas here. We want to celebrate the 4th of July here. We want to have friends over, entertain, cook out, all that stuff. So they are El Cheapo houses. And when you come in, there's some people that haven't mowed that, where they can't see out their backyard over that hill down to the main street, haven't kept it up. And it was driving me nuts. So I rode my lawnmower, my rider lawnmower, 3.5 blocks up to the front. Took I look like the Clampetts. Those of you that aren't old enough for the Clampetts, it's the old Beverly Hillbillies. Traveling from the south there up into over to Beverly Hills, California. I had my weed eater across my lap. I had my blower. I had extra batteries, and I had my friggin' Roundup spray. And I went out there and spent an hour and a half, mowed the entire up and down the street. It's about, I don't know, it's probably 125 yards each direction between the walking path and the street, up on the hill, up around the trees, did all that, picked up garbage, then took my weed eater and edged it because weeds were growing over. And some of that has just been seeded over the last couple of years as they are finishing out the roads, etc. And I spent a bunch of time on it. Man, my wife said it looked nice. My neighbors said, I can't believe you did that. And I'm like, I can't believe others don't. And one of the neighbors was working on the corner, and he does a pretty good job. So I stopped and said, hey, I want you to know. I introduced myself, hadn't met him personally yet. I said, hey, I'm Brent. And he said, hey, I'm Matt. And he was digging up rocks and fixing some stuff in his yard. Yard looks great. And I said, hey, don't take it personally. I just wanted everything to look the same. You know, I'd like it to look like the neighborhood where everybody spends this kind of money, not like, something else, like a double wide neighborhood. Not to pick on any double wides. There's some beautiful double wide neighborhoods, but it was a joke. And he goes, hey, man, I really appreciate you doing that. I felt great about it. Now, I don't want to have to do that again. But men are simple creatures. That's what that story's about. That's what we did. Okay? So the next thing that Quantum Workplace, so the first thing was showcase goal achievement. That's what recognition at work's about. The second thing they said was just it motivates effort when you give recognition. Recognition should be tied to more than just performance, right? You don't want to just recognize the top 10%. I got to recognize others so they strive to do all the things they need to do to reach the top 10%. So celebrate strong effort. When people go above and beyond, and you know what that looks like, extra hours, big project, finishing a big request for proposal or RFI, request for information, etc., celebrate those. Celebrate strong efforts, man. This establishes emotional connections to the workplace, and this will inspire and fuel future performance. What you're doing is lighting a fuse for bigger things to come. Like the snowball effect. I've talked about this before on a number of things. But you start by just giving a snowball a little shove, giving it some momentum as it rolls down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and sooner than later, you got something that can't be stopped. And that's what you're trying to do with recognition, is to inspire people to take whatever you're leading, whatever you're involved in, personal life or business life, to a level no one thought was possible. That's what you're about. That's what recognition does. The other thing recognition does, and this is really important, and this ties into the home one, but it reinforces values. So by recognizing things, now that's both behaviors, actions, those types of things. It shows what is valued more, now talking about work here for a second, more by the managers or management, the leaders, the organization overall. So by recognizing good things, like collaboration might be an example. When you see good team collaboration, two teams working together that may not get recognized financially from helping each other's efforts out, that's good mojo. That's good stuff going on in your organization. So make sure you recognize those things. This is a major part of creating that culture you want. Recognize good things, call out bad things. This is the huge one at home too, like I said. Show your kids you recognize they're doing the right things, even when they may not be the best outcomes. What I mean by that is, what if your kid's done something wrong? So you're going to correct that behavior. But what you want them to do, what you want a value of them to do at that point, is maybe honesty or integrity. Accountability would be a good one here. So if the kid comes to you, if your spouse comes to you, if a loved one, a neighbor comes to you and says, hey man, I had a situation, I'll use the kid example first, and says, hey dad, I got caught doing this at school. Recognize, hey Jimmy, I want you to know that I appreciate that you came to me and you told me the truth. The value of integrity, accountability, and truth is very important in life, Jimmy, and you did the right thing, and I want you to know that I'm proud of you for that. Now, let's talk about the bad thing you did at school and come up with the ramifications of that. But what you did is you established that truth and integrity are important. When I first moved into my home, I put a fence up, nice fence. It's an aluminum one, black metal, and my neighbor is an awesome guy. He, with his riding mower, tapped on the fence one day. And I was up on the patio, and he shut off his mower, and he goes, Brent, I didn't even see it happen. And he goes, Brent, I go, yeah. He goes, hey, come down here. And he showed me, and it barely moved this little bottom leg thing, and I just took my hand and was able to kind of basically straighten it out. But total accountability, hey, if I need to pay somebody to come out and fix that, you just let me know. I would have never seen this thing. But he was accountable. I recognized it. I said, hey, man, I really appreciate that, but don't worry about it. So recognize home and work to reinforce values that you find important. I'm going to talk more about the home life around this in just a few minutes. Here's a bunch of data stuff when I was doing my research. These are going to be some quick hitters, but this is killer stuff too. The data says this: when employees believe they will be recognized, when they are and also believe they will be recognized, listen to this, 270% more likely to be highly engaged. You know what highly engaged employees do? Perform better, drive greater outcomes, drive more revenue, more profitability, stock price increases, development of other people around them. Snowball effect. You want engaged employees. Other benefits include these: increased productivity. I just kind of touched on it. Who doesn't want increased productivity? These are easy steps. Thank you. I appreciate you. Job well done. Clap, clap, clap. Be appreciative, man. The other thing, this is a huge one. My wife's dealing with this on something right now. Not hers, but around her. Decrease turnover. You want to sustain great results? You need people that stay in your seats, not go to other people's seats for long periods of time. I have had 2 jobs in my career since I left working for my father. Both are in the same industry. First one I was in for 6 years. The only reason I left it was lack of opportunity to go where I wanted to go. It was a privately held organization. There was a top stop, right? There was a top stop. I thought I had more in me. It's come to fruition. A little bit of luck and a lot of hard work and great people around me. I recognize I didn't get to where I am because of just doctor leadership. It's because of all those around me. But decreased turnover sustains results. Has a huge impact on results. The other thing recognition does, great employee satisfaction. Satisfied employees are more engaged. Happiness in the work environment is a wonderful thing. The doldrums, the cloudy days everywhere around you sucks. It is going to pull everybody else down. It's going to pull everybody else down. If you got people dissatisfied and talking, whispering in the background with each other. I sound like Joe Biden suddenly. Because I did, folks. Unsatisfied people, that spreads like a cancer. You can't let that happen. Improves the culture. That's number 4. So you got increases productivity, decreases turnover, better employee satisfaction, improves the culture. Which one of those don't you like? This is easy. This is a no-brainer. Higher loyalty, satisfaction scores from customers go up, loyalty from customers goes up, sustained results. The only way to grow a business is to satisfy your current customers so much, create such value they don't leave you, and every year add a few more. Suddenly you got a boomer of a business going on. If you leak oil driving down the road to your next customer, and that oil is losing current customers, you're not gaining any ground. You are not improving. Actually, that's a sign of an unhealthy business. You need retention very high. Another one, decreased absenteeism, right? And stress goes down, better health. Good friend this week works with me. Scary health event. My age. Stress related. Treats his body a little differently now. He's going to have to. Some of that going on. Don't let the stress get to you. If the environment is so stressful that it's causing pains at home, poor issues at home, anger going onto other things and people that are not responsible for what's causing that stress, find something else to do. Because there ain't nothing worth that. If this thing gets too stressful on me, I'll walk away in a heartbeat. First of all, been very diligent on saving and investing to put myself in a position. Remember, money doesn't buy you happiness, it buys you freedom. I have the freedom to do something else if I'd want to. I have the freedom to do nothing if I want to. That isn't what I want to do, because I get up, my OCD, I'd go friggin' crazy. I'd be out cutting the grass with hand scissors to fill the day up if I did that. But don't let the stress get to you. Here's several more statistics, 8 more about recognition. It's the number 3 reason people leave the job is lack of recognition. 1 and 2 are compensation and their leader, their direct manager. Not recognize them, play an a-hole at work, a brute, not focused to good relationships, bad morale, all that focuses in on the bad leader, and then pay, and then recognition. Salespeople as a whole do it for 2 reasons, and 2 reasons only, and many times it's only one, not both. Compensation or recognition. The ones that don't worry about recognition, the compensation in their mind is the recognition. That trips their button. So recognition is never not involved in why salespeople and producers, individual contributors, do what they do. Another little stat here, orgs with recognition have a 31% lower turnover rate. I touched on that already. There's the math. Imagine a third less turnover, what that does for your overall performance. Lowers frustration levels by 28.6%, approximately. 52.5%, approximately, of employees want more recognition by their direct managers. So we're not doing a good job, everybody. We got to improve this thing. Costa Rica was a huge improvement. We'd been COVIDized the last few years. We were supposed to go to Costa Rica 3 years ago. Got canceled. The next year, got canceled. The next year, got canceled because COVID kept friggin' messing with us. The first one was right when it hit. The second one was Hey, we weren't ready to go back to this thing yet. The countries couldn't travel easily. The third one, Omicron, had hit, right, in January, February. Man, company wasn't comfortable, and I respect them for that. Next year, Aruba. Can't wait. Love Aruba. My wife hasn't been there, so she's uber excited too. Uber excited. The fifth one, I want to everybody, pay attention. Pencils down, pay attention. Orgs with a sophisticated recognition program are 12 times more likely to have strong business outcomes. How much would you pay to improve outcomes more often, 12 times more often? What? I mean, you'd write a check with 2 commas, lots of zeros, and more than a 1 in the first column. 12 times more likely to have strong business outcomes. 4 out of 10 people want more recognition from their peers. This is an important one. When you're in a business environment, take care of those around you too. Management and leadership in the org isn't responsible for every ounce of your happiness. Call out to people next to you. Good job, man. Hey, my neighbor, yard looks great. Recognition is the top driver of candidate attraction. People want to work in good cultures. Here's a good one. It doesn't cost a lot either. Recognition doesn't have to have financial impacts, but as far as an expense, but a little one goes a long way. 1% of your payroll spent on recognition leads to an 85% impact on engagement. Pays for itself over and over and over again. Don't be squeaky tight around recognition programs. All this can be tied, as I said, into personal lives too. Drive a culture at home of recognizing effort, outcomes, and achievement, just like you do at work. Tell your wife, my wife has been working her ass off this morning. We've been gone a week, cleaning the house top to bottom. She keeps a tight ship, and she works her ass off all week. She puts in 60 hours every week before she even starts this. Then she puts in 15 hours every week, 12 hours every week of working out, working on her physical and mindfulness. Works her tail off. Thank you, honey. Love you. Drive that culture at home, too. Your kids are sponges on their environment. Remember this. They will repeat positively recognized behaviors and avoid those that aren't. Pat them on the back when they do good things. If they didn't win the game, pat them on the back first about, your jump shot looked really good tonight. You didn't score as many points as you'd like. The overall team didn't win. But, man, your jump shot looked really good. Hey, that throw to second, that was solid. Hey, honey, I've been seeing that you've really been working on your starts in the track meet. You were out of the gates faster than anybody. Didn't win the race, came in third. That's okay. I'm really proud of you. What else could we work on? Can I help you in some manner? Right? Kids are sponges. Hold them accountable. Be a parent, not a friend. Be a father, not a friend. Be a mother, not a friend. Say thanks to your spouse. Recognize their efforts. Little things matter. Be observant around yourself. Don't get locked up in what you're doing. Remember, men are simple things. If my wife comes up and gives me a hug and says, I'm proud of you or I love you once a day, I'm smiling ear to ear, man. I am one happy guy. That's all I need. Recognize positive things in your village. Compliment the neighbors on the yard upkeep. You know why? Because they'll keep it up. Increases your property value. That's a no-brainer. Go out and mow something yourself to make sure the village sees you doing something for the village. My wife, 2 weeks ago, right before we left on vacation, grabbed a garbage bag, says, I'm taking the dog for a walk. I said, what are you doing with the garbage bag? She goes, I'm going to pick up some garbage on my walk. There's always a cup or something out there. I'm just going to take garbage bag. Came back, full garbage bag. I'm like, God, you're awesome. Now remember, this is a construction zone. Stuff's flying everywhere. It's not there anymore. She took care of it. And then be appreciative. Don't be this person that just complains about everything. Don't complain about the taxes when you win the lottery. Be a good person. Be inspiring. Most important, just be awesome. Keep that shit up. Talk next week.